You dancing like a white girl, Ann Brothers. Yeah.
Hoping somebody will buy me a chocolate martini.
You keep dancing like that. Remember, there's somebody for everybody out there on the dance floor.
Exactly. Somebody's probably like, she's already had too many chocolate martinis.
Nice. All right. Happy Sunday. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. I'm going to turn that down so people can enjoy us and enjoy this amazing music all at the same time. It is Super Bowl Sunday. That's right. February 11th. They're having the Super Bowl so late now. It's like every year it gets a little later and a little later. Pretty soon the Super Bowl is going to be in like Easter Sunday.
Man. And that'll be a different day every year, just like it is, I guess, already. It's always got to be on a Sunday, right? It has to be
Right.
football.
Actually,
on Sunday.
I don't think that would be worse. I don't think having the Super Bowl on Easter Sunday would make I think it would make Easter better, actually.
Well, you would get them both over with at the same time, which I am all for killing two birds with one stone.
Nice. Excellent. That's right, everybody. It's Super Bowl Sunday. We are the Brother Sisters. We're coming at you a little early today because we wanted to make sure that you could A, view this amazingness, and then B, enjoy the Super Bowl, which coverage probably started. Actually, coverage started 2 weeks ago. The national anthem will be at 6:30-ish, sung by Reba McEntire this year. So country music legend, Reba McEntire. I would actually tune in for that because I like Reba. I think she's,
Me too.
righteous
I'd
chick.
be like,
So.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
well,
interesting choice. Good choice. Good choice.
good choice. I would agree. And the Super Bowl, of course, is coming from Las Vegas this year. The NFL finally caved in, and has instead of fighting gambling, they simply have embraced it at every turn. And then they wonder why their players keep getting in trouble for gambling. I'm like, yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. It is a conundrum. Will we ever figure it out? Never mind.
We will not figure it out because we do not want to figure it out because there's far too much money to be made by gambling on football and basketball and baseball and just gambling in general. We love it so much. So
Yeah.
there you go. All right. Well, yeah. So for those of you that are unaware, thank you. My husband just walked by and he's telling us to break a leg. Let's see. What else is happening? Oh, yeah. So it's the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. They are playing the Super Bowl today. We've got company. Jen Hesse is with us. Jen Hesse's in the house. Brothers, sisters. Jen Hesse's a super fan, and Jen Hesse is one of the reasons that we're doing this because she taught us about StreamYard and how to do this and gave us ideas. She put things in our head many years ago. And yes, Jen, we are gonna dig into that chocolate stuff. In fact, Ann, are you ready to get into this? Should we just dive into this and start talking about chocolate?
Of course. I was like, football. I stopped listening like 4 minutes ago. So
Well, come on back as we're going to talk about chocolate. This was prompted by Carrie Lynn is with us. Hey, Carrie, how are you? Peace, woman. Good to see you. Good to hear you. We're talking about this because we're going to get double whammied this week. We're getting actually triple whammied because thank you, Jen. She says she's very glad that we are online. We are the best. I love your show, and we love you, Jen Hesse, and we love our show too. Oh my gosh, I know, right?
Oh my gosh, we're in love so much.
Indeed. I'm glad to hear that, Carrie. I'm glad to hear you're doing all right. So with me right now in studio is Marla the cat, who is eyeballing me because it's a little after 5, which means it's her time. So she's going to start headbutting me. Yep, she is. She'll stop. You might hear her meowing in the background because she doesn't care what time. She doesn't care about show. She doesn't care about anything. She just cares about her dinner. So, so we're getting sort of triple whammy this week. We have the Super Bowl, of course, which is today. Tuesday is Fat Tuesday, and Wednesday is Valentine's Day. So, what better way to celebrate all three than to talk about the beautifulness of chocolate? Look, let's bring it into the stage. There it is.
Chocolate. Because it's good for two of those at least. It's good for Fat Tuesday because if you need something to celebrate before you start into the Lenten season, and then of course Valentine's Day, and then of course if you're not into football, definitely you should have some chocolate. And if your team isn't winning, you should have some chocolate because chocolate makes you feel better. So it counts for all three.
Truth. Awesome. All right. So for those of you that don't know us, we are the Brothers Sisters. I am Janice Brothers.
And I am Ann Brothers.
Yes, and we are in fact sisters, genuinely sisters. It's interesting, Ann, but people think we're a company. We're like, like there are companies like, Folgers Brothers or something Brothers. So people think that we're not real. We're a company, not people. I'm like, no, no, we're people, and there's
We're
two of us.
people.
And yes,
And our
we
last
are
name
in
is
our fifth.
Brothers. We're
Yes,
sisters. Mhm.
yes, we're
It's
the
all true.
brothers, sisters. Yep, so clever. Uh, and why don't you take us through number three, would you?
Okay, so both Janice and I are in our 50s, and that means that when we were growing up, all of our playground equipment was built over concrete or asphalt, and offered a risk of strangulation or breaking something. And I think it was built over asphalt or concrete, so it was easier to clean the blood off of the ground, you know? So, yeah, it was. I remember often somebody getting hurt at least a couple times a month when I was in school at recess, and always just being glad it wasn't me.
Sometimes they put sand down underneath some of the stuff, but honestly, not really.
Not really. That was, yeah, I just remember it always being, I was like, oh, yeah, it was kind of like, don't mess up the playground equipment. That was kind of like, it wasn't, it wasn't like the concern wasn't the children. It was like, hey, we spent a lot of money and time to put this in. So you better treat the equipment right.
Well said. We have Lisa Lee is with us from Wisconsin. Lisa Lee Larson. It's
Hey,
great to
Lisa.
see you, young lady. Well done. Tracy Larson is also with us. Oh, I love that. Yes. Or burning yourself on the shiny slide. I know, man. The sun hits that and it becomes like the surface of the sun. I'm like, I don't even
Right.
know how many third-degree burns I have from the slide at Holy Angels Catholic School.
At least second degree, at least blisters. I do remember a couple, and then it being our fault for some reason. It's like, oh, I got you didn't like you didn't want to tell anybody that you got blisters because then you might not be able to go down the slide again. And two, you didn't tell anybody because you didn't want them to like blame you for being, well, duh, how come you're so stupid? You didn't know not to go down the slide in the middle of the afternoon. And I was just trying to have fun.
Just trying to have fun. I couldn't help it. So yeah, so we talk about smart stuff, dumb stuff, fun stuff, such as the playground equipment we had when we were in elementary school.
Mhm.
Anne, why don't you take number five?
We are not cool or hip, and we know this because we spend way more money on sunscreen than we do on makeup. And we have more than one type of sunscreen depending on where it needs to be applied. So, does it need to be applied to my face? Well, that's a totally different sunscreen because surprisingly, in your 50s, you can still get acne breakouts from wearing the wrong sunscreen.
That's
So
true.
I'm like, what am I going to be doing? Am I going to be doing something like where I'm like super active, so I have to have the waterproof sunscreen, or am I doing something where I'm just sitting outside for several hours so I can just have regular sunscreen? Make sure you have it with you so you can reapply.
That's right. I get the sport face kind because
Mhm.
then when it sweats, it doesn't sweat and sting my eyes.
And sting my eyes,
Like,
exactly. There's plenty of times like, "Oh, damn, I rubbed my eyes and I got sunscreen in it."
yes, and as a result of that, we would not consider ourselves to be sexy. See number
Mm-mm.
five. We are not a murder, celebrity, or influencer podcast. We're just a couple of middle-aged women. We think we're funny and we talk about stuff we like. And
Mhm.
you get to a certain age and you start to just figure out that you just want to do whatever you want. So we're there. It's
We're
nice.
there.
So
We were
yes,
probably there when we were, like, in high school, but now we're definitely 100% there.
100% there. Yes, Jen Hesse, acne in your 50s. It is, and it's funny. I still get zits. It's like wow, that never goes away. It is,
I
and
I like when I get a zit in a wrinkle because then it really, really brings me down to earth. I'm like, "Oh, look at me." Humbled,
yeah,
humbled.
that's my body sticking it in and breaking it off right there. That's what that is.
Exactly.
That's awesome. We are good to listen to if you are cleaning. That's right. We've been told many people tell us how they listen to us. Apparently, we are good to listen to when you're cleaning because it will help distract you from the anger you feel while you clean up the messes made by other people in your house. And it wasn't lost on me that Duncan's the only other person in your house.
I I
So,
I I I, that's more from when we were younger, and, we had
Mm.
to learn how to distribute the, home workload between 2 people.
That's awesome. Uh, Jen Hesse has just coined the best phrase of today, which is zinkles, which is zits in your wrinkles, otherwise known as zinkles. Jen Hesse, you're hired.
I was gonna say trademark, trademark.
Trademark 2024.
Mhm.
Yep, that's fantastic.
It is.
Go ahead, Ann. Why don't you take number nine?
This podcast is not G, it's not PG, we're not even PG-13, and it's not like we talk about super explicit stuff or say gross things, but there will be some swears. We will say naughty things like zinkles.
I don't think that's naughty. I think
I don't either, but
that's
there's probably some like younger people are like, that can't really be true, is it? Like,
you'll
why would
see.
they tell us these horrible things? I'm like, so you'll be prepared.
Be prepared, and you're like, "It can't happen to me," and then it does.
And it does. It's so fucked up.
That's right. Don't worry, millennials and Gen Zers. Just think of us as your America's favorite aunts. That's right. That's what we are. Aunt Ann and Aunt Jenny, America's favorite aunts, telling you about the shit that's going to happen to your body in your mid-50s.
In
Rock
your
on.
yeah, exactly. You're welcome.
Uh, being in your mid-50s comes with freedom and a price to pay, but we'll talk about the price later. You can
Yeah.
find us on our new website on Spotify, YouTube, or the Facebook, and we would really love it if you followed, subscribed, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell the enemies of your friends. Yeah, we're just looking for people to come and hang out with us, follow us, like us, do all that. And if you can't catch our live shows, no big deal. Just catch us on the Spotify. And I'm trying to figure out. I think I can get us on Apple. What's the other one? Apple Podcasts. And what's the
Apple
other one?
Podcast or Apple Play or something. I don't know. I don't have an
There's another
Apple.
one.
I have
Yeah,
an
there's
Apple computer that I'm on, but my phone is not Apple's.
I can't think why can't I think of the other one?
Oh, I could look it up.
It doesn't matter.
Apple
There's the other
Play.
big podcast one, and I can't remember anything anymore, so,
Mhm.
whatever. Anyway, let's talk about, our smart, dumb, fun stuff that happened this week, and we're gonna kick it off with you.
Oh, my dumb thing was fun. My brother-in-law, Joe Peters, messaged me this woman. Her name is Broadway Barbara, and she has all kinds of different things that she does. But she did this whole thing on Bob Fosse dance steps. Oh my gosh. I've gone back to it for the last 2 weeks and watched it over and over again. My favorite ones are Baby Made of Noodles and somebody gave orangutan or somebody gave whiskey to the orangutan. And then she does all these dance moves based on the name and she, credits them to Bob Fosse, who at the time Bob Fosse was choreographing musicals. He was really innovative, and there's a lot of dance that owes its existence to Bob Fosse. But now that we're back, 50, 60 years later, we can look at certain musicals and like, oh yeah, Bob Fosse, he definitely has some,
Fosse.
he had some Fosse-isms that, and she does all kinds of different, kind of, making fun of and playing with the different dance styles, but she does a great job. And it was just so funny. And I keep going back to it because it's only like, what, a minute to a minute, 90 seconds long. Just hilarious, dumb, fun stuff. If you're into dancing, if you're into musicals, if you just want to laugh, she does a great job. So, Broadway Barbara, that was my dumb
Nice.
fun this week.
Awesome. I had a couple of I don't know, I'm gonna call them smart things this week, and I know everybody's, like, over the Taylor Swift thing, but whatever. Um, I watched so I would not consider myself to be a Swiftie. I've enjoyed some of her songs when they come up on playlists and radio and stuff like that, but I was, scrolling through NPR, National Public Radio, earlier in the week, and they had reposted, Taylor Swift's Tiny Desk concert from 2019, and I gotta tell you, she did acoustic versions of 4 of her songs, and they were just great. She really is, I think what she's done for herself, and I think what she's doing for young women right now is incredible. So even if you're not a big Swiftie, you gotta respect the talent, the toughness, and the empire that she has created, especially the toughness because, the first song that she started with in this set was a song called "The Man," and it really is it's such a sharply written, excellent song about what she would not have to endure and what we would be saying about her if she was a man instead of a woman, and that sums it all up. For a lot of the hate that she's getting, it's simply because she's just a young woman with tremendous talent who has, basically built her own empire, and for a lot of people, that's just more than they can stand.
Mhm.
The other smart thing I had this week is Joe and I went to a space yesterday called Jericho, which is here in Kalamazoo, and we went and saw a little acoustic set last night, something called Music in the Round, in their space called the Clover Room. And I got to tell you, in terms of cool things that I've seen recently, this is one of the coolest ones. It's an old buggy factory that's been converted into a makers and artists space, doing all kinds of different things. In fact, I think we are actually going to be talking with the woman that runs the music, at least She's a kind of a musical figure here in the state of Michigan. We'll be talking to her, and we'll be talking to her about her use of the Clover Room, and hopefully we'll be able to get to the nice people that own Jericho and run the Clover Room. But it's just a really great experience. So we got Matt Oren is with us. Matt Oren, say hello to Matt Oren out in
Hello,
Colorado.
Matt.
Yes, he also loved the Taylor Swift Tiny Desk concert. Her Storyteller show was one of the things that turned me on to her. Yeah, in terms of songwriting, she is a prolific and skilled
Mhm.
songwriter. And I just think that, that's one of the hardest things to do, I think, is to be able to A, write like that, and B, to put it to music and make it sound amazing is really, she's just incredibly talented at that. So mad props to Taylor and to the, and building on that, what we saw last night at Jericho and what we saw last night in the Clover Room in Kalamazoo, which was completely and totally awesome. All right. With that said, let's talk about some chocolate. And we have chocolate with us. I have my confections that we've got the other day at Confections with Convictions in Kalamazoo. And I ate all my Cherries chocolate stuff already. I couldn't resist. And I
I was
already
gonna
ate
say,
one of my confections with convictions. I ate which one did I eat? Because it's so cool. When you go there, they put your chocolates in a box and then they give you this little map that goes with it. So like they have the box numbered on the side so that when you get home you're like, what do I have? So then you can look at the little map that comes in it, and then you can be like, wait, that was my number 2 chocolate. I said number 2, what? So the one I ate earlier today because I couldn't stand it anymore was the peach, cashew, and hazelnut with some spiced sea salt, and it was delicious. And I'm not a big lover of this. Look at that. Nice box,
mhm.
hand brothers. I said something about your box.
I was talking about my box. You and half the men in Michigan.
What? Gross.
Whoa, gross. Hey, don't shame me. Um, yeah,
I
and
won't.
you don't have to get the map. I didn't get the map. I was like, no, I want to be surprised.
I
So,
wanted the map. I did not wanna be surprised. I wanted to know what I was eating so that if I really like it, I could get it again. So that's what I did, and I'm not
mhm,
sorry. Alright, so the question that we're trying to answer, and for those of you that have been following us forever, we actually did a show on chocolate, like, 3 years ago. We're doing it again because it's
mhm.
been yeah, you guys, we've actually been at this now for nearly 4 years. So
Wow.
I know,
Wow.
we're amazing. So the question is, how do we get from this what you're looking at is, essentially a cacao plant. And how do we get from that to all of this amazingness? Because if you've ever seen a cacao plant before, they're kind of gross. Would you agree,
Yeah.
Ann Brothers?
Yeah, I would totally agree. It kind of looks like something my cat has coughed up after he's been sick.
Mm.
So I was like, yeah, you're like, ooh. It almost looks alienish. You're like, this can't be something that people consume.
And yet it is.
And yet it is.
So you basically get from there's a process. So what you were looking at there was the cacao plant. So now you have your cocoa beans that get harvested from that. They get cleaned and fermented. They get roasted. They get winnowed. You get cocoa nibs out of that. You add liqueur and you grind them. You add more chocolate liqueur. You press. You mix. You refine. You add cocoa butter, or you refine it and you separate the cocoa butter, or you leave some cocoa butter in. And there's milk and there's chocolate and there you can have sweet and there's sugar that you add to it. Yeah, it's quite the
Mhm.
process.
It is.
So,
It's
Anne,
a
would you like
thing.
to take us through the origins of chocolate?
Sure. So, it started out as a fermented beverage made from chocolate, which dates back to 450 BCE, so before Christ epoch, in Mesoamerica. So, kind of like South Central America, the Olmecs and the Mayans and the Aztecs, because they took it from the Mayans. The Aztecs believed that cacao seeds were a gift from the god of wisdom. I can't.
I
I
gotcha.
apologize.
Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl.
Thanks, Jenny Brothers.
You betcha.
The cacao seeds were used as a form of currency, so that's how valuable they were. They was yeah, they're old and valuable. I always think of chocolate as one of the original foods, especially like
Oh,
dark chocolate. That's why I love dark chocolate because it tastes like ancient wisdom. Sometimes I think it's just like this is one of the first foods, and I just love it. So, it was made into a drink and mixed with spices like vanilla or chili or corn. So, the vanilla or the corn would give it kind of a sweetness. And then, of course, the chili just, I think, enhances the flavor palette of it. It wasn't until the 16th century, so the 1500s, when cacao came to Europe, that sugar was added. So they didn't add sugar to it. They kept it. It was almost a savory beverage, almost. The word chocolate is a combination of chocol, hot, and alt, water. So chocolate. I'm sorry, I can't do that. So chocolate. So
Total.
hot water, because it was started, like I said, it started out as a hot beverage. That's how it started. The form that we have right now, it's very modern.
Yeah, it's and I can I can remember taking, both Anna and I took an economic botany class when we were in college. Hey, Annie Hannon, love you.
Hey, Annie. Thank you,
And
Annie.
I was super shocked at what I was learning, in that class because there's like a unit on chocolate, which was
Mhm,
amazing. And it was really surprising to me how unrefined it was and how
mhm,
you know, like many things in our modern palate, completely unrecognizable in its
mhm,
original form. We probably like Americans, if you were to, shove us back in time and give us this, we'd be like, "What is this disgusting shit?" You know?
mhm.
But
This
in
is gross.
reality, yeah, it's not creamy and yummy like I want it to be. Where's my drinking chocolate that I used to get from Starbucks that they don't have anymore, which is a shame because it was basically just a cup of diabetes. So, sorry.
Mm,
Mm.
delicious.
So, Anne, if you don't mind, I will take the big names of chocolate history.
Please.
So the Olmecs in the Yucatan, which is that fun little peninsula that juts off of Mexico, 1900 BCE. These were the first to harvest. So this was a long time ago, damn near 2,000 years ago. They were the first to harvest the pods from the cacao tree and create a drink with the ground pods, honey, cornmeal, chili peppers, and then they would froth it up. And again, who looks at that and goes, "Yeah, I can eat that." And that's what I always
Mhm,
find so surprising about some of these early things that we ate and drank. It's like, okay, who thought of that? But apparently, maybe they saw it. I always think that somebody saw an animal eating it and then
mhm.
going, okay, yeah, they must know something we don't.
Yeah, and
The
that's
Mayans picked up with.
I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
when coffee, like the myth around coffee is that, goats ate it first, like somebody saw a goat eat it, and, they seem so peppy and happy that they're like, "Oh, maybe I could do that too." So maybe it was the same thing. They, like, saw something else eat it and like, "Well, if they can eat it, didn't kill them."
They kill them. Look how happy they are now. They
I
must know
know.
something we don't know. So
Mhm,
good job, whatever that was. So
mhm,
again, the Mayans picked up where the Olmecs left off. The Aztecs. Um, And the Aztecs were, man, they were really good at just figuring out what everybody else was doing, and then they didn't grow it, so they just took it from those that did grow it. They were good at that. Um, and then, of course, we came along, and the Spanish came along. They were even better at it. The conquistadors and the missionaries, they brought it back to Europe. They brought chocolate to Spain in the 1500s. We have Van Houten in 1828 who invented the cocoa press that removed the cocoa butter. um, Good job, man, because cocoa butter is delicious. And Daniel Peter and Henry Nestle, who put milk in it. This is when we start getting into our modern chocolate, and they essentially made the first milk chocolate. And Lindt came up with chocolate conching to smooth it out and really modernized and industrialized chocolate as we know it today. Of course, we have Cadbury, the marketing genius of chocolate, with his heart-shaped boxes of chocolate. Because chocolate is like anything. If you wanna sell something, you have to make a market for it, and
mhm.
that's exactly what he did. You know Nothing says love like a box of chocolates at Valentine's Day. Like,
Yes.
you clever
Everybody
guy.
wants a box of chocolates and a long stem rose.
Dude,
I'd like to go back to the conquistadors because it's interesting. The Spanish came to the New World looking for gold, silver, precious metals, precious gems, and so they were looking for those things. And it turns out that things like chocolate and tobacco and made so much more money for them than the gold and the gems ever could.
uh, which is awesome. They came for one thing and ended up with something so much more valuable even
Hmm.
today.
Yeah.
Tracy Larson, yes, one of my favorite candy bars is the 100 Grand. I love its chewy awesomeness, and I like that it sticks to your teeth and you can keep working it out of your teeth and enjoying it later.
I
So
like its
yeah,
crunchiness.
it is. It satisfies all those things that my brain loves about
Mhm.
eating, crunchy, chewy. It's
Sweet.
like the best. So yes, thank you, Tracy Larson, for honoring me by eating 100 grand. So
Mhm.
I appreciate you. Well done. All right. So that's okay. So types of chocolate. So you're looking at the big 3 types of chocolate right now, and why don't you take us through?
True. So there's my favorite, which is the dark chocolate. And I usually like about, when I do a dark chocolate, it's between 60 and like 79% dark. The 80s, anything in the 80s and above is a little too dark for me, but I do like a nice dark chocolate. This contains cocoa solids, otherwise known as the nibs, and cocoa butter, but no milk or butter like in milk chocolate. Sometimes they do sweeten it a teeny bit, but it's you get the most chocolate flavor with it, and I find that it's the most satisfying. Like with milk chocolate, sometimes I want to keep eating it, but with dark chocolate, I find that if I get like one or two pieces, I find that completely satisfying. So I just really like that, the chocolate. I really just want to have the chocolate more than anything else when I'm in the mood for chocolate.
I don't know, and you say, like, it's a bad thing to want to keep eating chocolate because
It's not.
I
The thing is, I do like milk chocolate, and I even like white chocolate. I like all the chocolates. Just if I have a choice, I usually go for dark chocolate.
then that's it's not that's good. Good job, Anne, because that's probably the one that's in terms of the benefits, you're probably getting the most from that. I myself am a fan of the milk chocolate. Um, go ahead, Anne.
Well, it has cocoa nib in it, just like the dark chocolate, and cocoa butter, but then they also add milk and lots of sugar. So, that's probably what's making you want to keep eating it is the sugar, and it tastes amazing. And you know, um, good
It
chocolate,
does.
bad chocolate, it's all chocolate. So
It's all
yeah, so
I
that's
know.
why I think that's why people like milk chocolate better. It's because it's sweeter.
It's sweeter, it's smoother.
Hmm.
Everything about milk chocolate does it for me. I love everything about it. I love the fact I love that hit of sugar. So it was so funny because when we were picking out our chocolates the other day at confections for convictions, you were picking out all the stuff that was in the 70s, and I was like picking. I'm like, is there something in the 20s? Because I want milk chocolate. So yeah, I totally get that. And then of course we have. Let's talk about our little friend, white chocolate.
Mhm. So there's no cocoa nibs in it. So that's why, it doesn't have any of that dark black or brown coloring. It's white, kind of a creamy ivory white. It's just the cocoa butter. And then they often add sugar, milk, and often vanilla. Sometimes with cheaper white chocolates, they'll add vanilla to kind of cover up for the fact that it's not a very good cocoa butter, or it's a super processed one. But the mixture of dark chocolate and white chocolate together, when you get those two, I think that's one of the most amazing flavors because you get that really buttery creaminess with a real dark, kind of bitter chocolate. Yummy.
Yeah, I came late to the game when it comes to white chocolate, and I gotta tell you, it's probably if you can, especially if you can get good white chocolate, it's one of my favorite things, and it is the fact that it is so satisfying and it just feels so good in your
Hmm.
mouth. It's creamy and yummy. Jen Hesse says, "My dream as a child, well, actually stole today, is to have a chocolate river from the Willy Wonka factory." I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I get that, Jen,
Hmm.
100%.
Me too. Me too.
Yep.
Mm.
I would want it to be like, yeah, that would be so good, and then you just scoop it up and drink it with some whipped cream on top. Yep. Yeah. Love that. Yeah, so, um, it's funny because when you're young, you don't really appreciate white chocolate. White chocolate, like I said, is something that I really started to appreciate when I was older, and I think I really you know, I learned that white chocolate was cocoa butter in Annie Hannon's economic botany class, and I was like, "No kidding." And I think that's what kinda turned me on to giving it a real shot, and then I was like, "Okay," just sort of that knowledge helped me
Mhm.
appreciate that what I was consuming was actually really delicious and really good and made me feel very differently about it afterwards, so
I got introduced to white chocolate earlier in my youth because between the ages of 6 and 10, I was allergic to chocolate. It would give me hives. And so I wasn't allowed to eat it, which was terrible. But when I did get chocolate, it was always somebody would give me white chocolate, which was hard to find in the 70s. White chocolate was very hard to find in the 1970s. And so I kind of got a taste for it. It still wasn't my favorite, and I appreciate it more as an adult. But I remember having it when I was young and liking it because it was sweet, because it was creamy, and because I couldn't have real chocolate unless I wanted to get hives. And it was hard to hide. Like mom was like, "You ate chocolate, didn't you?" I was like, "No, I didn't eat chocolate."
she's got these hives, on her neck and stuff like, yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I always felt sorry for you when we were
Did
kids
you?
for that, but
Did you,
I
Jenny?
did. as I
Oh,
was
that was
shoving
nice.
chocolate in my face at Easter time when I was shoving basically all of the chocolate rabbit in my mouth at once.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
I
yeah,
would have felt
I
sorry for
did.
me too, as I did the exact same thing, so but, yeah, so it was funny when they took me to the doctor to find the doctor's like, "Yeah, you'll probably outgrow it by about the time you're 10," and that's when I outgrew so about 4 years, I was allergic to chocolate.
So weird.
I
It's so
know,
weird.
isn't it?
So
So
rando. Like
random.
rando
Yeah,
allergy to chocolate.
mhm,
I don't know. All right. So when it comes to chocolate, there are lots of places to get it. So what we did here is we just included a list of places that we felt are some of our favorite chocolatiers. And I
mhm,
actually spent some time yesterday kind of revisiting and making sure these places still exist. The only one that I had to take off the list was Daniela's in Forest Lake. She closed up shop a couple of years ago, but the rest of
mm,
these places are all alive and thriving. And added, of course, Confections with Convictions to the list because that really is there an excellent chocolatier. And I actually want to talk about them a little bit once we get done going through this list. So, Anne, do you want to
mhm.
go through the list, or do you want me to go through the list?
Well, I'd like to go through my favorites 'cause, Grocer's Daughter is my favorite place to get chocolate, and that's up in Empire, Michigan. A lot of the only complaint I have about Grocer's Daughter is that, they have sold their, establishment to another, group of people who do a beautiful job still. They still have the same recipes, do an excellent job, but everything is smaller now. So, and in comparison to like Confections for Convictions, when I look at the two candies, I'm like, Confections for Convictions makes a beautiful big piece of chocolate, a beautiful big caramel or not bonbon, what are they called? A truffle. Grocer's Daughter has a little bit smaller, but their chocolate is an excellent. If you're up in the up north area on the lake and you want to stop by there, really wonderful. Convections with Convictions here in Kalamazoo. We just went there for the first time earlier this week. I can't tell you how impressed I am, not only with their chocolates, but with their mission. Cherry's Chocolates, Chocolate Art in Kalamazoo. I read a little article about them. It's a mother-daughter team, and so the mother used to run galleries,
Hmm.
art galleries, and you can see that when you walk into the place. It's a very beautiful place to walk into. You want to hang out. If they had couches, I would live there. And then, of course, the chocolate is big and flamboyant and beautiful. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Kilwins, though the chocolate is much better than at Kilwins. Veruca Chocolate in Illinois. This is a artistic chocolatier. They make beautiful stuff. Gilbert's Chocolate is very old school here in Jackson. It's been around for like 80 years. Very good chocolate. Whenever I go into Jackson, I always buy myself a box because I'm like, I deserve this. Bon Bon Bon. We have one in Detroit, Hamtramck, and we also have one in Ann Arbor. This is a fairly new chocolatier, all run by women. Just fun. They have fun packaging, marketing. When you walk out of there, you have the cutest box that's fit to the chocolates you bought, whether you bought 2 or 200. It comes with like a little rubber band that you can wear with a bracelet and sticker. I mean, it's like they have my, it's all in pink, Jenny. They have my number. They know it's like, oh, Ann Brothers is coming in here and she loves pretty little things.
We're getting that. Yeah.
Um, Mindo's in Dexter is a very good chocolatier. They do a lot of dark chocolates, dark chocolate bars. Donkers is a pretty old school place in Marquette. It's so fun to go there. They have a soda fountain so you can get ice cream, and they have a small chocolate operation. They make my husband's favorite chocolate, which is giant peanut butter cups.
Joe also digs those. Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure.
So fun places. Go to all of them.
They also Donkers also makes a hell of a breakfast. So,
Oh, an amazing breakfast. So you get
yeah.
breakfast and then you go downstairs and buy $30 worth of chocolate. And then you go back
Yeah,
later in the day and get an ice cream soda.
ice cream. Yeah, Donkers always whenever we go to Marquette, Donkers always gets a lot of our money.
Mhm, they do. They do.
It's true. It's true. So, some of the ones that I have on my list, of course, Confections with Convictions. Man, that place just, really impressed me. For those of you that are not familiar with what they are an establishment that hires people that that struggle finding employment. They again, you guys, the name says it all. It's it's for those that may have had some sort of conviction in their past, helping them find work, helping them get another track record of employment. And so, a great mission, and B, and we just kind of scratched the surface of the chocolate that you can
Mhm,
get there. So we got the stuff that was in the case, but they also have a room full of other of barks, of fluffy things with marshmallows and caramels and peanut butters and um, pretzels and all kinds
Mhm.
of different treats that you can get. So if truffles are not your thing, if caramels are not your thing, don't worry. They had a wall of different delicious chocolates that you can
Mhm.
get. It was really hard not to just drop $100 in there immediately.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I was gonna like, I'm just gonna get like 2 pieces of chocolate, and then I bought the 9-piece box, and then they also do
The
like coffee and hot
Mhm.
cocoa, so you can sit there. It's an impressive, and of course, they have a very beautiful feel in there. It's comfortable and inviting, and the parking is super easy to park there. So if you are like trying to find a place and you don't want to go downtown, you can park with no problem. So it was a great place. I'm really excited that we found it.
Nice. And did you talk about Verucas in Chicago?
I did, I love Verucas.
Yeah.
They do a lot of really, like, almost what I would call, like, the modern chocolate, so there's lots of painted, um, uh, um, and, sculpted pieces. Very beautiful, excellent chocolate. You can also go there and get, like, some sort of, I'll call it a monstrosity in the most loving way, monstrosity of chocolate beverage, and then they do have, like, frozen treats. It's a fun, fun place to go to. All of these places are fun. I wouldn't go there if they weren't fun, but, it's just like it's s I can't resist something beautiful that you get to eat, and every one of these places offers you these beautiful, beautiful things that you love to look at, and then you also get to eat them.
Which is the greatest.
Right, which I
So
can't do with jewelry or buttons, so
that's true, you cannot.
Mhm,
So while living in Wisconsin, there were some really great chocolatiers in the Wisconsin area. Of course, if you're in the Osceola, Wisconsin area, the Chocolate Gnome, really great, really excellent chocolate. Kind of a small operation, but really delicious. They do a lot of chocolate dipped things, the chocolate dipped Oreos, the chocolate marshmallows. They have really good dark chocolate peppermint bark, which I love. So another really good one is the St. Croix Chocolate Company, which is in Marine on St. Croix, Minnesota. They have a really that's more again of an upscale uh, chocolate place. They are very serious about what they are doing in chocolate, and their chocolate is very, I would say, just pure and excellent. Not a lot of fluffy stuff in that store. You're going there because they make amazing chocolate. That's why you go there. Stillwater, which is a fun tourist town, have a couple of different candy shops, Trembly Sweet Shop and Candyland. I actually prefer Tremblay's as far as chocolate to Candyland, but I'm sure there's you could debate far and wide. And then going way back to my time in Colorado, the Chocolate Therapist downtown Littleton, Colorado, which is again a really fantastic. It was actually at the time I was teaching there, one of my students, her mother owned it. I don't know if she still does, but again, a really good chocolate, a huge variety of chocolate. They do less with like caramels or truffles or things like that, and they do more barks and bars and those sorts of things. But you could get a bar with just about anything in it:
mm,
fruits, nuts, crunchy things, whatever you're looking for. That was a really great place, and at the time I was still there, they were doing coffee as well, so if you wanted a mocha, it was super chocolatey and yummy, and I don't know if they're still doing, coffee there or not, but they were a mazillion years ago when I lived in Colorado. So those are some of my favorite places, and then, like I said, just in terms of just solid chocolate with lots of just fun things, that's gonna be Cherry's Chocolates in
mhm.
Kalamazoo.
And they also
They
do
do
all kinds of hot cocos there, hot chocolates and hot cocos, and they do a flight of cocoa, so I think, Jenny, you and I should go there, in the next, if not next month, in April, and, try a flight of cocoa.
nice. Tracy Larson, sees in California, just finished 2 pounds of chocolate butter reams, early Valentine's to myself. Nicely done.
Nice. Nice. Very good. If you can't love yourself, how can you love anybody else?
That's right. So way to enjoy yourself. Enjoy every second of that, Tracy.
Mhm,
I'm a little bit jelly, but in a good way.
mhm, mhm,
Totes jelly, which means
mhm,
I'm totally jealous, according to the cool kids. I don't know that they say that anymore.
mhm.
But anyway,
Anyway.
Joe learned all kinds of new words the other day because he facilitated a group of high school kids, and he learned about dirt and mud and other things. So
Hmm.
if you do something bad, then you're dirt, and if it's really bad, you're mud.
Oh.
And
Oh.
yeah,
Well, now
so
that
now
we've
you
said
know
it, it's not cool anymore, so
instantly not cool. Over. Yeah. So if there's anything that your kids out there are saying that you don't want them to say anymore, let us know and we'll say it, and then they won't think it's cool anymore. You're welcome.
They'll be over it.
Heroes, Anne. Again, heroes. So,
Heroes. You're welcome.
s you're indeed. So, if chocolate and pop culture, like everything, we kinda bring everything back to some pop culture, smart, dumb, fun stuff. So, chocolate in media. Here's funny. I've never seen the movie Chocolat. Have you ever seen that movie? I've never seen it.
I adore that movie, Jenny. It's one of my guilty I don't think of it as a guilty pleasure movie because it's a good movie. The soundtrack is amazing. It's just actually Johnny Depp is completely unnecessary in that movie, but love interest, blah blah blah. But man, all I want to do after I see that movie is just cram delicious, shiny chocolate into my face. Oh, yeah, I like that movie, Jenny.
Okay. Well, now we'll talk about the book then. Have you read the book?
I have read the book, and it's quite different from the movie. The movie is set in like France in the post World War II, like 10 years post World War II. And Chocolat, the book, is actually set in the 80s, and it's a little more witchcrafty. So it's a very good book. I really enjoyed the story, but it's quite different from the movie.
Okay.
Hmm.
Good to know. Good to
Yeah.
know. Now, like Water for Chocolate, I never saw that either. Look at me not
Oh,
seeing any of these movies.
the book is awesome. It's not a very long book, and it comes with recipes, and it's a beautiful story. So if you ever get a chance to read it, you'll read it so fast. I loved the story. Again, it's not just about chocolate, but it's about cooking. So if you love food or cooking, it's a great story. So yeah, it's just this woman who seems to have a who fashions her life based on cooking. She explores and she becomes more of herself, she literally creates the life she wants through cooking.
Cool.
Yeah,
That
it
sounds
is. It's
awesome.
fantastic.
Fantastic. Um, I was trying to think of, okay, what's the chemical that so one of the reasons that chocolate consumption I think is such a thing is there's a theobromine, that's it.
Oh,
Theobromine,
okay.
which is the chemical in chocolate that makes you happy. Because it's so funny because when we were both taking that economic botany class, I always loved the fact that Annie Hannon, our instructor, would bring
Mhm,
chocolate on the day we took a test. So you
mhm,
could eat chocolate while you were taking your test because she wanted you to feel happy while you were test taking to sort of relieve some of the stress.
mhm,
So that's one of those things that if you're feeling sad, you should do 2 things. Number A, you should have some chocolate, and B, you should watch one of these movies while you're eating your chocolate because I think they will make you happy.
mhm.
So Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, that's another, so what? Charlie and the Factory, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and of course, Wonka that just came out with that adorable little Timothy Chalamet who you just
He's
wanna pick up and put in your pocket because he's so adorable.
he's adorbs.
Of course, and whenever my favorite part of any of those movies, and I haven't seen Wonka yet because it's just not on my radar. I'll watch it eventually when it starts streaming. Is that I just like to watch the kids eat the chocolate. Like early in the movie when Charlie gets his candy bar and he's eating it, I'm like, yeah, that's the best part for me. It's just like imagining that. So,
So maybe,
uh,
Jenny, your students who were watching Asian children eat marshmallows, maybe they understood more than we knew. They're
we
like, "Oh, it's
did
so satisfying." I'm like, "Hmm, okay."
this week they were watching Asian kids eat tacos. So yeah,
See? Satisfying.
yes. Jen Hesse, you know what? Jen, say hi to the Grillium for me. God, I miss that place. I loved that place. It was in Forest Lake. For the Super Bowl, yes, definitely get those white chocolate Reese's for the drive.
Oh,
Smart,
yum.
because then when you're driving, you're gonna be happy because you still get the theobromine, in it's still in white chocolate, so there you
Mhm.
go. That's awesome. And again, please have an old fashioned for me, at the Grillium. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Thanks for watching. You're the best.
You are. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Jen. It's awesome. Of course, Forrest Gump is one of those movies that has some chocolate references in Life is like a box of chocolates, blah, blah, blah. Um, so great video on the history of chocolate by, who is it? Cogito on YouTube.
Mhm.
So
There
I've
you
not
go.
seen that either. I know this was definitely your page, Ann,
Mhm.
the entertaining chocolate for sure. So talk
Yeah.
to me about that documentary.
Oh, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but, and the thing is, when we took Annie Hannon's class on the economic botany, he I didn't learn anything necessarily new based on it because Annie was so comprehensive in her section on chocolate. But if you want to know more about the ancient history of it and how it got to where we are today, it's a great video. It's very interesting, very comprehensive. So totally worth your time.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's awesome. Yeah, I think we should take a moment and let's take a moment
Mhm.
here, as we are I'm gonna put us back on the big thing here. I think each of us should pick out a chocolate.
Mhm.
Um, I'm gonna pick out one, I'm gonna name it, talk about it,
Mhm.
and you're gonna pick out one that you don't know about, but you're gonna describe it. So,
Okay.
hang on, I have to get my map here. Hang on.
Mhm.
Um, all right. Actually, if you're listening and watching, you guys should pick the chocolate for me. So it looks like we got a couple people. What should I pick? Should I get the number 1, the saffron and rose? Should I get
Mm.
I already ate the number 2. The number 3, which is the love potion. And I actually had that one the other day because when you go to, Confections with Convictions, they
For
give
the
you a
first
free
time.
chocolate if you're a first timer. If you're a
Mhm.
first timer like we were, they give you a free chocolate of your choice. And so I had the love potion number, 13.7, and it was magically delicious. I'm just gonna say that. Should I eat the orange candied with orange peel and dried cranberry? That's my number, 4. My number 5 is the hazelnut latte. The number 6 is the fennel anise and cinnamon. The
Mm.
number 7 is the almond with almond slice and powdered sugar and sea salt. The 8 is the, juniper, lime, and mint, and the number
Mhm.
9 is the Michigan blueberry with powdered sugar and sliced almonds. So which one should I eat?
Well, Jenny, while you're waiting for your somebody to tell you what to eat, I am going to eat from Confections with Convictions. I'm going to eat the lemon poppy seed. It's with a white chocolate.
Mm.
It's got little teeny poppy seeds on the top of it. See, and it just looks so beautiful. It looks so clean and beautiful. So I got uh, I apologize for making chewing noises into my microphone. If that grosses you out, sorry.
I was listening to one of my students the other day,
Mm.
and she was talking about how much she hates to hear people chew, which I thought was, there are some people that they're not into that. So,
Mm-mm,
you know,
mm-mm,
not
mm.
that. All right. Uh, so Lisa Lee says I should have number 1. Lisa Lee, I'm going to do what you tell me to do because that's
Mhm,
what I should do. The number 1 is the saffron and rose. So it's a rose
mm.
petal, powdered sugar, and dried peach. All right, girl, you win. Look how pretty it is. Look at it's so wait,
Oh,
you can't see it, sir.
oh, that's
Um,
beautiful. Mhm,
Isn't that pretty? So
mhm.
that little dried peach is on the top there, and then you've got that little powdered sugar. God, smells good. All right, here we go.
And yours is a caramel, isn't it, Jenny?
Mhm.
Mm,
Oh, mhm. It tastes like flowers.
mhm,
Mm,
mhm. Mm.
yeah.
So it's interesting because this is a white chocolate, so you get that creamy butterness, and then just at the
Mhm.
very top, there's a little bit of citrus. It's really
Oh my
good.
god, this is so good.
Mhm, mhm,
How do I describe it? You bite into it, of course, you get that immediate caramel chewiness, but then it's like it's you can taste the saffron, and it's nice because you hit that peach hits your mouth, and then the last thing that hits you is the rose, and it's rose can be really overpowering when you
mhm.
get it in food, and it's just right. It's just right. It's like it's magic in my mouth. It's like I have a Las Vegas magic show in my mouth, but it's the classiest magic show ever. God, it's good.
Mhm,
Yeah, it's
mm,
this is I'll get you for rush rip. Mm,
mhm.
mhm. Okay, so, yeah, this is not the kinda chocolate that you just jam in
That you
your
just
face.
pound.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, Lisa,
Thank
it's
you,
delicious.
Confections with Convictions. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Okay, I know.
Mhm.
I'm chewing into my microphone, I'm sorry. Hang
Mhm.
on. Mhm. I'm gonna mute myself for just a minute while I finish chewing.
Mm. I'm trying not to chew. I'm trying to, let it melt in my mouth.
Yeah. God, it's so delicious. So, Lisa Lee, I'm gonna demand that you come to Michigan. I'm like, "Aren't you guys gonna do an art show or something? Shouldn't you come to
Yeah.
Michigan and we can take you there?" You guys should just come for a visit anyway, because
Yeah,
we
you
have a
should come to
house now.
Michigan. and do a
Mhm.
show either side of the state. We can put you up for the night, or two or
Right.
three, as long as you don't mind cats, because we're gonna colder it gets, the
Well,
more
they don't.
cats we put on the bed.
No. Yeah, so I demand that you come to Michigan. I
Mhm.
demand it. So, there you go. Yeah, I literally could eat all of those, but I don't want to because I want more
Right.
for later.
I know. I'm trying to
So,
save. I was like, I'm trying to like. I tried. Yeah, I'm trying to like
yes. But
Yeah.
but yeah, there's so much, and I think that's why, okay, good. I have demanded it, and Lisa Lee has said, "Done." Yay.
Excellent.
So, yeah, I miss you guys. So it would be
Hmm.
really great for you just to come hang out, and we could just have a really, really cool time in good old beautiful Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Hmm.
I was gonna say something, but then it all disappeared into my head. Oh, yeah, this is there's chocolate that you pound, and I think that's great. I love
Hmm.
me a trashy little Hershey's bar with some Jif on it. I think it's, um the answer to your question, Lisa, is yes, there will be chocolate. Lisa's asking if will there be chocolate on her visit, and the answer is yes.
Of
There will be
course.
chocolate from all parts of the state. And then, so I really do love, um, just regular trashy Hershey's chocolate because it's still good, and
Hmm.
especially if you put some peanut butter on it, it's really good. It's one of my favorite things to eat is just Hershey's with peanut butter on it.
Hmm.
And, there's so many good chocolates to be had out there, and if all you have is a chunky bar and it's kind of waxy, it's still good.
Hmm.
So love
Yeah,
the one
it's
you're
like
with.
pizza.
That's all I know. Yes,
It's like it's yeah, it's not the best pizza, but it's still pizza.
exactly. It's still pizza and it's still delicious. All right. Um, I'm gonna put this back up there. Oops, I didn't mean to do
Mhm.
that. There it is. It's back. So, the dark side of chocolate. We have to talk about the dark side of chocolate. I'm sorry to say. Go ahead, Anne. Why don't you go ahead and tackle this one?
Well, unfortunately, like most economically important crops, like chocolate, is steeped in a history of sadness. So, chocolate, coffee, any sort of commodity that's coming from one place and gets moved to another place, somebody has to grow it, pick it, process it. And usually, the people that are growing it, picking it, processing it are not reaping the benefits of selling it. And that's the exact same thing with chocolate. So, starting out with its beginning, the Aztecs conquered and enslaved those who grew cacao and cacao growing regions because the Aztecs didn't grow it themselves, and so instead they just took it from the people who grew it. And then the Spanish conquered the Aztecs and then enslaved the Mesoamericans to cultivate and harvest cacao in order to meet the demands in Europe. So again, this is a very common story with, like I said, with most commodities, because of the disease wiping out most of the population of Mesoamerica. African slaves were brought to South and Central America to continue growing in the cacao industry. So we could say that the enslavement of people in the New World has a lot of its origins in cocoa, in chocolate. As slavery ended in the 19th century in the Western world, cacao growing and the processing was moved to Africa, where slavery continued. And now you don't see that slavery. Of course, you don't see slavery like that in the world, but it's moved to child labor. So in Ghana and the Ivory Coast are the leading producers of cacao. Today, not in the New World in Central and South America, and unfortunately, most of that is still done with child labor is a big part of this industry. And even companies that say, we're organic or we don't use child labor, it's a really hard thing to weed out of this industry. It's pervasive. So most of the chocolate that you are eating is probably been in one section of its processing or another. It probably had children's hands on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
Um,
great.
it's not. If you're interested in supporting fair trade chocolate, check out Fair Trade International. We have their website here. We also have Fair Trade America, and we have their website here. And not only will they, they'll tell you what to look for, but they can actually give you companies and brands that work very hard to try to keep child labor out of the processing of chocolate.
So
Also,
yeah, there
working to make sure that people who are growing it and processing it are getting a better share of the profit from it. And chocolate's only going to get more expensive as we experience climate change. The regions where we go grow coffee now will change. What the chocolate needs to, what the cacao plants need in order to thrive will change, and that will increase the amount we will pay for chocolate. And we need to make sure that the people who are doing the hard work of it reap the benefits of it as well.
heard, that is for sure. That is 100% heard, and yeah. Okay. That was pretty much all we have to talk about as far as chocolate. I know we hate to leave you with that thought, but it's worth thinking about when you are purchasing your chocolate to to just ask yourself, you know, is 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 what I'm eating fair trade? If not, should I be doing something about it? If there's something that you like to do about it, again, you have the ability to do that by looking for things that are fair trade. But
It's your money, spend it how you want. But if you want
for
to,
sure,
one of the things that we noticed when we were at confections for convictions, was that they had a lot of they were very proud of the fact that they did fair trade, and that they had a lot of local ingredients. So you could look for that. Spend your dollars in places where that you think match your own, what you think is right.
and if you're not sure, ask. That's always
Yeah.
something that you can do. Take the time to ask. So.
Hmm.
As far as our sneak peek, we are crawling up on an hour here. So, as far as our sneak peek at next week, join us next Sunday. We're going to be a little bit earlier again, probably in the 3 o'clock hour next week, um, on February 18th, as Duncan Williams, master brewer, brewery manager of the Grizzly Peak Brewing Company, will be with us next week. He's going to bring beer, and we're going to drink it. And we're going to talk about it.
We're gonna talk.
Yay!
Yeah, we're going to talk about some beers that my husband, Duncan Williams, makes.
Because he's the man.
He is the man. He is the
He's
man.
the man.
Mhm.
He is. Again, you guys, thank you for listening to us today. You can support the Brothers Sisters for free. You don't even have to pay for anything. All you got to do is like us, follow us, subscribe. If you're on the Facebook, like us, Spotify, follow us. If you're on the Instagram, follow us. If you're on the YouTube, become one of our subscribers. That's it. Doesn't cost you a thing. Just click the buttons, ring the bells, do all the stuff that you're supposed to do, and we will take care of the rest. So,
Mhm.
yay for that. So, no worries there. Um, yeah, so
Mhm.
pretty exciting stuff, really, I think. So
I
wait, are
think
we
so
still
too.
there? Oh, yep. All right, good.
Mhm.
So yeah, so we got much coming up, more shows. We've got some great guests coming up in
Mhm.
the near future. We've got I'm trying to think what's coming up for the end of February. I can't remember what we're talking about.
Aren't we having
And we've
Jeannie
got
come on at the end of February?
that's right, end of February.
Mhm.
We have Jeannie Caselli, who she's our crack podcast expert. Not
Mhm.
just any podcast, but she's especially good with all the murder podcasts. So she's going
Yes.
to be talking us through which murder podcast we should be looking at, watching, thinking
And
about.
right, why we should be a murder podcast?
Yeah, but I don't really want to talk about that.
I don't. Well, I'm curious. I don't. Not that I can judge. I listen to some trash podcasts that I love, but none of them are murder podcasts.
Yeah, and maybe maybe we're missing out on something, but
Maybe.
you
So
know.
Jeannie will tell us. She will tell
Okay.
us.
All
Mhm.
right, Jeannie will tell us. So yeah, we'll be back next week. Like I said, we are coming back to you next Sunday, a little bit earlier, probably around 3 o'clock. Duncan Williams will be with us. So in the meantime, thanks for watching today. We hope you learned something about chocolate, both
Mhm.
good, bad, or somewhere in between. And my name is Janice Brothers, and with
Hey,
me is
I am Ann Brothers, and it's true that's our last name, and we are the Brothers Sisters.
yeah, we're not a company. We're not like
We're
the
not-
sisters. We're not like the Engine Brothers or something
Oh,
like that, or the
something
Trash
like that.
Brothers or something like that. We're just
Mm-mm.
or the Property Brothers, who are
No,
also brothers, but we're not brothers. We're sisters, but we're brothers.
right. And they're not.
Right.
Their last name isn't Brothers,
No,
unlike us.
and it's not property either. So
Mm-mm.
suck it, YouTube guys.
Yeah, you Canadians.
Are they Canadian? Ah, I
I
hate them
don't.
even more now.
No, we don't hate
All right.
Canadians. We like them.
No. Oh wait, I'm gonna play our awesome outro music for today.
Oh, awesome.
Wait, I turn
Oh,
it up.
there it is.
That's right, you guys. We're playing some awesome rock music as our gift to you on this Super Bowl Sunday. Enjoy the game. Don't stay up too late. Don't eat too much garbage or eat all the garbage you want. Again, thanks for watching. Have a great week. Peace
Bye,
out.
everybody.